What is the saddest word in the dictionary? Some say it is goodbye, some say it is never, but the saddest word is almost. I almost did it. I almost said it. I almost became who I wanted to be. Almost tastes like potential, but it leaves the aftertaste of regret. Why do we stop 1 inch from the finish line? Why do we let our best ideas, our deepest loves, our truest selves die in the shadow of almost? This was the ghost that haunted a young composer named Elian. He was brilliant, truly. His small room was a forest of paper, stacks of sheet music reaching toward the ceiling. But if you looked closer, you would see a secret tragedy. Every single page was unfinished, a beautiful opening melody that dissolved into empty staves, a powerful chord progression that suddenly stopped. He would start a new piece, his heart soaring with the initial inspiration. Then a voice would whisper, "What if it is not perfect? What if they laugh?" And he would stop, just short of the end. He almost applied to the great conservatory. He almost confessed his love to the girl who hummed his unfinished tunes. He almost sent his work to the city orchestra. Elian had almost achieved everything, which meant he had achieved nothing. He was drowning in the sound of almost, a profound, aching silence where music should have been. The weight of his own potential was crushing him. He lived in a quiet agony, surrounded by the ghosts of songs that would never be heard. The silence was louder than any symphony. Desperate to break this cycle of paralysis, Elian heard whispers of a legendary craftsman who lived on the city's outskirts. So he journeyed to the place they called the Iron Hill. There, amidst the smoke and the clang of metal, he found the workshop of Master Torin, the greatest bell maker in the land. Torin was a mountain of a man, with arms like ancient tree trunks and a face etched with the heat of the forge. He was standing before a massive, shimmering bronze bell, newly cast and destined for the city's main tower. There was a unique power to Torin. He was deaf. He had never heard the majestic peal of his own creations. He did not need to. He felt their truth in his bones, in the floorboards, in the very air around him. He knew the bell's soul through its vibration. Elian watched, captivated, as Torin prepared to test a smaller, completed bell. The master lifted a heavy, suede-wrapped hammer. He took a deep, centering breath. Then, with a motion that was both powerful and graceful, he struck gong. The sound was perfect. It was a wave of pure, resonant energy that filled the entire workshop, vibrating through Elian's chest and seeming to hang in the air for an eternity. The note was clear, confident, and complete. It did not apologize, it simply was. After the last vibration faded into silence, Elian found his voice. It was barely a whisper. "Master, my music is stuck. My room is full of beginnings. I write, and when I get close to the end, I freeze. I am afraid. Afraid it will be wrong. Afraid it will not be good enough." Torin did not look at him at first. Instead, he walked to the bell he had just struck and placed his giant, calloused hand flat against its surface. He motioned for Elian to come closer. When Elian was near, Torin spoke, his voice a low rumble, like stones shifting deep underground. "This bell only sings because I struck it with full force, Elian." With full commitment, he paused, looking from the bell to the young man. "If I hesitate, if I hold the hammer back at the last second, to be gentle, to be safe, to avoid making a mistake, do you know what happens?" He mimed a weak, hesitant tap. The bell makes a dull thud, It makes the sound of almost a dead, useless sound. It is the sound of fear. Torin then turned his gaze directly to Elian, his eyes holding a deep, ancient wisdom. Life, he said, is like a chasm. Imagine you are standing on one edge, and everything you want is on the other. You cannot jump 99% of the way across. There is no prize for getting close. If you jump almost enough, you fall. There is only the leap, the commitment. That is all that matters. He then pointed back to the unfinished scores Elian had described. You love the safety of almost. I see it in you. Because if you do not finish, you cannot be judged. You cannot fail. You can live forever in the dream that your song would have been perfect, but you also cannot live. A finished song with a mistake in it is beautiful because it exists. It can be heard. It can move someone. A perfect song that is never finished is nothing. It is silence. It is a ghost. The only way to silence the ghost of almost is to ring the bell of done. It was as if a bolt of lightning had struck Elian. The words hit him harder than any hammer. He looked at Torin, this deaf man who created the world's most beautiful sounds through sheer force of will. He looked at the heavy hammer, then back at his own trembling hands. He had always blamed his standards, his quest for perfection, but Torin had shown him the truth. Perfectionism was just a beautiful, ornate mask for simple cowardice. He finally understood. Almost was not a comforting safety net. It was a cage, a quiet, comfortable cage he had built for himself, bar by bar, with every unfinished piece. The beauty of the Bell's song did not come from the perfect quality of the metal alone. It came from the courage and commitment of the strike. The imperfect action was infinitely more powerful than perfect inaction. Elian did not end his journey on the Iron Hill. The real final act took place back in his room, surrounded by his paper ghosts. He walked to his desk. He picked up a pen. He pulled out the manuscript for his most ambitious work. A symphony he had abandoned months ago, just before the final movement. His hand shook. The old voice of fear whispered again. It is not ready. You will ruin it. He wanted to stop. He wanted to put the pen down and walk away, back to the safety of almost, but then he remembered. He saw the bell. He felt the pure, vibrating gong in his chest. He heard Torin's rumbling voice. Ring the bell of done. He forced his hand to move. He wrote the first note of the finale, then another and another. The music poured out of him, not because it was perfect, but because it was necessary. He wrote through the fear. He finished the final bar, his heart pounding. He looked at the page. It was imperfect. There were scratches, ink smudges, and hurried corrections. But it was finished. With a hand that no longer shook, he signed his name at the bottom. He sat at his piano and began to play. For the first time, his room filled with his own complete music. It was a song of struggle, of fear, and finally, of triumph. The sound washed over him, real and alive. And in that moment, the ghost of almost vanished, replaced by the beautiful, imperfect, and glorious reality of now. The moral is that almost is a trap that keeps us safe from failure, but prevents us from living. True success is not about perfection. It is about the courage to finish what we start. Understanding that an imperfect completion is infinitely better than a perfect fantasy.